Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of building a PWA React application with Workbox. So this is our React application that we are converting into PWA. And in the previous episode, we went ahead and did the service worker registration using the Workbox window. And we'll continue further now, and we are going to go ahead and configure our service worker file for pre-caching and stuff. So before we start the pre-caching, let's take a look at this Workbox Core that we need to use. So like I said earlier, there are different packages available and you can install it based on the requirement. So Workbox Core, so what is this Workbox Core? Well, Workbox has been built to be modular, allow developer to select pieces they want to use without forcing them to download everything in a single file. Like I said earlier also, that there are different packages available and there are different pieces that you can select based on your requirements so that you don't have to download everything. So you can use it for caches names. We won't be using that. Let's ignore that part. We will be using client's claim, right? It says that some developers want to be able to publish new service worker and have it control already open web pages as soon as it activates it, which will not happen by default. If you want yourself wanting this behavior, then it provides a helper method called client's claim. So what is this client's claim? It automatically adds an activate event listener as service worker and calls the self client's claim. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and import it since I've already installed it. So let's go ahead and install it. npm install Workbox Core. And while it's installing it, I'm going to go ahead and import it here. And then I'm going to also use the client's claim, and it says that it should be done first at the top level of your application service worker, not inside of an event handler. So we got our client's claim, which is brilliant. Then we also need to use the skip waiting, right? So why do we need to use the skip waiting? Because if you remember in the previous episode, we discussed that the update of the application in case if something has changed in the application in the subsequent deploys will only work if we are good with modifying the service worker lifecycle by skipping the waiting phase using this skip waiting. Without this modification, the new service worker will not be activated until the user closes all of the open tabs with the given application. As a result, they will only see the old version until that. So basically, to sum it up, we want to skip the waiting part so that the service worker is activated, and we don't want the user to be able to go ahead and close the tab. We don't want to wait for the user to close the tab to refresh the application. So that's why we're going to use the skip waiting. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Okay, so do self.skipwaiting, and we're not wrapping it inside of a message, which was an older process. And it's been explained over here that skip waiting wrapper is deprecated, so you don't need to wrap it inside of an event like a message event or something. All right, so that's just for information, but you can read more about it. So we've got self.skipwaiting, and the next thing you want to do is basically precache the routes. Again, to precache, we need to install a package called Workbox Precaching. And then we can go ahead and pull it. So let's take a look at what do we have available in pre-caching. So I think you already understand about what pre-caching is. I won't be going deep into that. It's basically having the ability to save set of files to the cache when the service worker is installing. So you can read more about it as to how it works under the hood. It says when your app is loaded for the first time, pre-caching will look for all the assets you want to download, remove any duplicates, hook up to any relevant service worker events to download and store assets. So let's move on. Yep, we are interested in this pre-caching route and route. So this will basically create a route that matches the request for the pre-cache URL. And the response strategy used is cache first. The pre-cache response will be used unless the cache response is not present, in which case the network response will be used instead. So when you are pre-caching all of the routes, basically, the first time, of course, it's going to be cached. And the next time the request comes in, it's not going to use the network request, it's going to use it from the cache. Okay, so how do we use it? You need to import it like this. I think we already added the import. Yes, we did. And then you need to pre-cache. Now, in case if you want to cache only the specific URLs, you can go ahead and just specify which URLs you want to cache. Notice there is a revision also. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this preCacheAndRoute. So we're going to come over here, say preCacheAndRoute, and inside of this we are going to use self.webManifest. I'll explain to you what that means. So what is this manifest thing, right? So let me explain that to you. Well, some developers use Workbox for pre-caching, right, as we discussed, which adds entries to the cache during service worker installation, for example, for the index.html, etc. So for example, for index.html. Now, if you use pre-caching, Workbox needs a specific formatted list. So if you take a look, it needs to have this, under this function, it needs to have an array of the URLs, like index.html or styles or scripts, and as well as the revision. Revision would be in case if something is changed in the file, like if you made changes to the file, if you redeploy it, of course, there'll be a revision, right? There'll be a revision ID as well. Now, the precache manifest is commonly generated during your build process and then swapped into the service worker code. So the convention is to use self, like we're using now, _WP_manifest. So this is basically a placeholder for where the manifest will be injected. So what's going to happen is that when you run build, it's going to go ahead and put all of the URLs with their revision in form of an array, and I'm going to show you that. So let's, since we have got our basic setup, I'm going to run build. So I'm going to say npm run build and see what happens. Oops. So I'm going to say npm run prod and see what happens. So take a look at what happened over here. You have your basic, your image, your favicon, all of that has been outputted, main.js file. What's interesting is what we need to see is here under this sw.js. So remember our Webpack configuration, right? We're using ingest manifest. This is going to ingest the manifest for us, and it's going to take our srcsw and it's going to take this configuration. Using that configuration is going to ingest the manifest for us, and is going to create the file called sw.js into the dist, and this is what's created. I'm going to format it, and if you take a look down at the bottom, take a look at this. Voila. See this one, event listener activate. So remember we spoke about at the time when the service worker is activated, it's going to inject these URLs. So in our case, it's the images. You have got all the images here. So 1, 2, 3. Then you have got the favicon here, index.html, which is this one, right? So basically all of the files that you see here, all of them that have been added. There's a revision code as well. So it's basically giving it in the same format. It's injecting that manifest basically in place of that self.manifest, right? So the self.manifest that we are currently looking at, so the self.manifest is basically a placeholder for that. And at the time of build is going to be, all of these URLs is going to be inserted for pre-caching, okay, at the time of the install event. All right, so now notice at this point, it also says that service worker at sw.js will pre-cache 10 URLs, right? So it's also telling that, and it's a log from the inject manifest as well. So I'm just going to run this command here, npm run serve, and I'm going to show you that. It's going to run the build again because we've said that, and it's going to run the serve in the dist folder, and it's now available at localhost 5000. So what I'm going to do is I'll go over here, hit it, and now congratulations, you can see that it says new app update is available. Click OK to refresh. Now it's saying new app because earlier I had run the previous application, because earlier when I was showing the demo, I already had that installed. So it does have the previous cache available. So that's why it's saying that something has changed because we made some changes to the application. I have made changes. I haven't shown you in the video, but I have done that. And it's saying click OK to refresh. So notice what happens. I'm gonna show you over here. So now if you click on OK, you can see that all of the cache has been updated here. You've got your service worker file. If you click on it, predify it, you can see that it's the same service worker file that I just showed you. These are all the revisions that we are looking at, right? So that's been outputted, this service worker file. It's been outputted. It's sourced from srcsw.js. It's pre-caching all of the routes, which is great. And if you go into application tab, no manifest detected. Now, why do you think that is? Because in our index.html, we haven't linked to it, right? We haven't linked our we haven't linked our manifest.json. We haven't linked our favicon. So we need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add that here. So I've added manifest.json link and favicon. I'm just going to rebuild it. I just hit Control C to cancel the running server. And now again, refresh. All right, so you've got that. So it's building, refresh. And now you can see that you've got your manifest.json showing, and you've got your cache storage and stuff. You've got your service worker. Click on the manifest.json. This is the file that we have added. There's just one small update we need to do. This is WB and not WP. And just rerun it. Okay, so it's running now. Okay, so it's running now. Let's refresh it. And now if you go and check, you've got cache storage. You can see that it's pre-caching all of these URLs. And how do you know that these are the ones? Well, go to service worker file, pretty print, scroll down at the bottom, and take a look. These are the files: images, logo, main.js, all of that, right? If you go to network tab, if you go to application tab, service, and then look at the cache storage, these are the URLs. All right, perfect. So these are all pre-cached because these files are available at build time. And some of the things that are not available at the build time are something like a request that has been made to the third party, and that is not available. I would also say that font family from Google, etc., these all should be cached at runtime because it changes, right? So images, I would say images don't really change much. You can go with a cache first strategy on that, but we will discuss. Stay tuned. We're going to discuss about caching strategies in the upcoming videos. Basic functionality of the PWA is done, the very bare minimum, because now if you go and check service worker, if you go offline, and now if you go ahead and refresh, notice that this data won't be available, but rest of it will. So refresh it. So you see that it's still loading. Why? Because if you take a look, this is failed because we haven't really done any caching strategy for a runtime request, like request this third-party API. But the rest of it is definitely working. If you check it all, you can see that favicon is coming from service worker. This is coming from service worker. Main.js is coming from service worker, which is pretty great. All right, perfect. Now if I also switch off internet, I do that, and I refresh, it still works. I can also install this application over here. So I click on install, and now let's take a look. It's installed here, which is great. And if I open that application, you can see that its application is opened. So now you can see that you've got this app available. It's working. All right, so that's about it for this video. I hope you did like it. If you did, please give a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Do follow me on GitHub. My GitHub handle is imranhsayed, and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Codeytek, and do subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Thank you very much.